Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tracy Takes On. I'm Tracy, and it's so good to be back after a week of hectic scheduling that prevented me from being on the show last week. Before I get started, I want to remind everyone to please hit that like button. Um, you can comment on today's video either now or later. Um, Remember to subscribe to this channel, and you can always visit us on our website at tracymediallc.com. There's a new design, so I hope you all enjoy that. We've been working on rebooting the website just a little bit to make it look just a little bit better. And remember that Tracy Media is sponsoring a scavenger hunt on September the 3rd at 6 p.m. The cost is just $15 and it goes towards me getting better equipment. So I'm going to make this show as short as possible because, again, I don't have a lot to talk about except for the elephant in the room, and that's the January 6th meetings. I know everyone is saying, they provided such great information and they're telling us these things and they're laying it out step by step by step. But maybe it's just me. They're not telling me anything that I don't already know. I knew that Trump was a scammer. I didn't know how much, so maybe that part I didn't know about. I knew that basically the rioters or the terrorists, they came to DC because they read a tweet from Trump and invited them to come. It's like they're not telling me anything. It's like, tell me something new. And the fact that they're drawing this out over the next, 5 weeks? They could have did this in 1 week, got it over with, and I'm not sure if people care. I mean, we still have mass shootings going on. Gas prices are out of control. Food prices are out of control. There's still a baby formula shortage. I just wonder, what is their goal? What is it that they're trying to do? It seems to me that the Department of Justice just simply needs to do their job and start bringing charges. That's what really needs to happen. But, I watched the first day and then I was like, I can't watch this anymore. It was just monotone people talking. And I just can't absorb that. I don't know if I'm just not in the mood for it, but I watched maybe a good 30 minutes and then I'm like, no. One of those food competition shows that I watched was on, so I'm like, I'd rather watch that than this meetings. And I probably should be more concerned, but again, they're just not telling me things that I already didn't know. Everything they said, except for the testimony about how much Trump siphoned off of his supporters, but I knew he was raising money. I knew it was a scam. I didn't know it was that much. It's like they're literally not saying anything that's like outstanding. It's not like they're saying we have this tape conversation of Trump saying he's going to cause violence, and until they get that, he's not going to jail. Would I like to see him go to jail? Absolutely, positively, but it's not going to happen. He disassociated himself with the planning of this. He got his little stooges to do the planning for him. He keeps his name off of it. He gets to run and be president again, and we'll have 4 more years of his buffoonery to deal with. I just can't watch it. I hope it gets better, but no, I just can't. I cannot. So I wanted to talk about that just a little bit. Like I said, that's just about all I plan on talking about it. I did want to get into another subject, and it's completely different. I have visited this subject once before, and I said, oh, I'm going to come back to it. And I'm going to do that. And the next, let's see, we're going to try to end this by 8 o'clock. We're going to try. So if you all don't know, the week of July 23rd, 2023, which is a Saturday, I will be participating in a Medicare for All March in Indiana. I'm on the committee that's planning it, and it's getting closer and closer. So we're going to have, I'm going to do a pre-recording of this show. I have a guest host for the Thursday show. We won't have a Friday night game night. We'll just pre-tape that also, and then let the Patreon see it. Or maybe I'll just change my mind and put it out anyway. But that's going to be a very busy week. But I wanted to talk about more about what it takes to do an event of this magnitude. Oh, I see we have a guest on, so whenever you're ready to say hello, you can say hello whenever you feel like it. But I wanted to talk about, what does it take to organize an event? Whether it's, I'm probably not going to talk about like the rallies, marches, or protests that are under 20 people. That doesn't suit me very well. But I do want to talk about, the first things I want to talk about is when you're deciding that there should be something like whatever it is you want, whatever issue, strengthening women's reproductive rights, Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, whatever issue you pick, you have to make sure that you are for the event. And I could talk about counter protests because there are people that literally come out, they see a protest, they say, I'm against this, so I'm going to come out and protest against the protesters, if that's making sense. I don't want to waste my time with those type of people. I just want to talk about us on the right side of the issue, not the counter protesters. So when you're deciding to do a rally, march, or protest, you have to have some sort of passion for that event. It has to be something that you're fully dedicated to and that you're fully bought into. You have to also understand it. That's one of the things that I regret in terms of planning, because yes, I'm for Medicare for all, but I didn't understand like how it was going to work and what would happen to the workers that, were displaced by HR 1976. I hope I got that right. But thank goodness I had a group of people that gave me that information. I just saw like the big picture, and I didn't see like the practical, okay, it's going to work A, B, C, and D, and E, and so forth and so forth. So you have to make sure that you understand the issue before you even get a committee together. Second thing, when you get a committee together, you are now the lead person. It doesn't matter if you don't want to be or you desire to be. You are it. You're the contact person. You might as well get used to it. I think the first 5 months, I struggled in trying to get somebody to do it. Just be the chair of the event, chair the meetings, run the meetings, and I just got no response. And now at this date, it pretty much doesn't matter because we're about, under 50 days away. So, once you speak or once you say, hey, this is my idea, you're now in charge of it. You're the contact person. You're the person who's going to be contacted by the press. You're the person that's going to be interviewed. just get used to it. Um, Another thing that I struggled with was where to find committee members. I literally joined every group that had Medicare for all. If it had Medicare for all and they were for it, I joined. Like, hey, do you know somebody in Indiana? We're having a meeting. This is it. And I think like one other person showed up to the first meeting. Then we did one in January. Then we did one in February. Then people started showing up people started showing up in February. Um, because I kept reaching out to people would be like, oh, reach out to this person, reach out to that person. And finally we got some people in. We're a good core group. Um, so it's really important to make a list of who it is that you think you want to contact or Facebook group because sometimes you don't know the person um, in that you're wanting to work with. You just know groups, and that's where I was. I knew groups. I knew Indiana DSA. I knew um, the PHP group. I don't know if I'm getting that right, but I hope I am. I knew groups and not necessarily people. When you decide a date, this is so important. You have to decide where you're going to rally, protest, or march. Now, our march is going to be at the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, which is a big central in the city. Everybody knows where it is. And then we're just marching down one block to the State House. But you don't necessarily have to march to your state's capital. You could hold rallies, marches, or protests right in your city if you don't live in the capital city. We decided to hold it in Indianapolis because, well, one, at the time, I was the only person in the committee. I'm from Indianapolis, so guess what? It's going to be in Indianapolis. That's where our state legislators gather to pass bills. That's where the seats of government meet. So it didn't make sense to have it in any other city. Although we had thought at first we would try to have it in satellite cities, but Indiana is such a small state in terms of our population. It felt better to have people to migrate down to Indianapolis. Now, of course, I'm not migrating. I'm just literally getting in my car, finding a place to park, and then going out and protest. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm doing. Um, so when you get the date, you always want to make sure you're not picking a date that something else major is going on. So you want to stay away from any type of sporting events. Do not schedule something on a sporting event date because that's where everybody's going to be at. It's unfortunate they should be at your events, but they probably won't be. They'll go to that huge event and then you won't have enough people there to really make an impact. So just don't have it in any type of major event. If the president is coming into town, that might be a good time to have a rally. That would probably be good, but then Secret Service kind of drapes off everything. You can't get it. But stay away from planning your marches during big, huge events. You will not have a good result if you do that because it's just going to be for naught. You'll just be literally panning and you won't have those crowds to make any type of difference. The other thing you have to think about is paying a fee for protesting, rallying, and marching. Now, luckily, we didn't have to pay for marching because we're just going to march on the sidewalks. But to gather on the state grounds, yes, we had to pay, I believe it was $250. And our group stepped in to do that, thank goodness. So you have to think about if you're going to march in the streets, you're probably going to have a permit. If you stay on the sidewalks, you won't have to. If you rally at a state house, you're definitely going to have to pay something. So you should research, do you want the streets blocked off? Do you not want the street blocked off? If you don't want the street blocked off, you'll have a better time. But if you do, because you may live in a large city, then it makes sense to get those permits for that day. And usually, when I was pricing our permits, not at the state house, but in terms of blocking off traffic, they started at 75 and went all the way up to like 20,000. So I was like, oh no, we won't need any police protection. We'll just march down the street and we'll just go from there and we'll do our thing and we don't have to pay all that. So we're not blocking traffic. We're flowing with traffic. So you want to think about that. You'll also want to think about who it is that you want to speak. Now, this is where I wish I had thought about well before, because you always, our group is like trying to get a certain politician to come. Still haven't gotten a hold of that person. So I just grew frustrated and said, hey, we have to act like this person is not going to show up. And again, the one person watching, you could just go ahead and just say, hello, I appreciate it. So I just kept saying, we have to move in a fashion like this person isn't going to show up. And if they show up, that's great. And if they don't, that's great too. And the reason that I said that is because we had to send out press releases. We had to send out notices for social media. We had to post them in places that we go to, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're getting speakers, you want to get someone that is for your issue. And you would think that would make sense, but a lot of times, especially when you want to get a politician, they do that thing where I call word salad. They won't specifically say they're for something, but they'll say something like, oh, I'm for health care for everyone. Well, what does that mean? Are you for Medicare for all, or are you against Medicare for all? Oh, we got two people checking in. Oh, hello, Marlon. I love sis. Okay, so yeah, like I said, when you get a speaker, you obviously you would think, oh, well, yeah, if I'm getting this person, they've said they're for it. No. You got to look at their voting record. You have to look at, are they just putting their name as a sponsorship and really don't care about it? Are they taking money from corporate PACs that are opposed to your bill? All of those things have to be looked at. I also took it an extra step because I'm just extra. I decided I'm just going to invite politicians that I know aren't for. And the reason I did it is because I wanted a record, because someone's obviously going to ask, who did you invite? And I'm like, well, we invited this person, and they never responded. Now, I know good and well that the two senators from my state are not for Medicare for all. They just are not. But I still put that invitation in the mail because I thought it was important enough to get their opposition to the plan on the record. And that's what I want. And they did just what I thought. No response. You also want to determine a time frame for the speakers. And this is important too, because I would say don't give your speakers more than 5 minutes. I don't think you really need to get up there talk 10 and 12 and 15 minutes. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You probably need to, like I said, keep that to 3 to 5 minutes. And 5 would be the max, 3 would be the minimum. But 3 is kind of quick. So I would say give all your speakers 5 minutes. What we're working on now is we're trying to find like a master of ceremony, like somebody that's dynamic and people will listen to, they're entertaining, they know how to keep a program moving. That's a whole different discussion that we'll be having this Sunday when we meet. And you also want to be careful when you're trying to find speakers. Is again, you want to get speakers that are definitely for your event. But one of the things that I ran into is you cannot believe the amount of emails I got from people. Oh, I want to speak. Okay, did you come to a meeting? Are you for Medicare for all? Are you running for office? Because if you're running for office, you obviously have an agenda. That's just that it is what it is. And some of them we let speak, and others we're like, no, you're not going to speak. You didn't participate in any of the meetings. You can't just show up, put your name out there, unless you're one of the legislators, because we don't expect them to show up to meetings. But in terms of just everyday speakers, no, you have to have some type of criteria about who it is you get to speak. Don't get somebody that's boring. Please do not get anybody that's boring. That is the worst thing you can do. You're at a rally, you don't have a lot of time to sit and nilly-nally trying to fight sleep because the person speaking is so boring. I know they could have all the facts, they mean well, but they have no type of person that they just are so monotone and so heavy, boring that it gets really, really mucky in terms of listening to that, and then you got to be like, okay, let me just turn off or try to stay awake while this person is talking. You also want to make sure that the press is aware of this. Now, here comes our issue. We're getting a whole lot of people on the committees. We're each kind of dividing them up into regions because we said, okay, northern part will take this, southern part will take this, central part we'll just divide the state up and we'll make media contacts that way. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. We're trying to get our local radio station to schedule. Hopefully not me because I really don't want to do it, but I can if I absolutely have to schedule us to come on and talk about the march. And there's a whole lot other things I want to talk about. I'll pick them up next week. But like I said, just to kind of go over, you got to determine the date. Don't make the date where something big is going to happen because you won't get the attendance that you want. I think I said, I'm pretty sure I did, that you have to make sure that the person that you're getting isn't a Johnny-come-lately in terms of participation in not just getting, at least show up to a meeting. You don't have to be there every time. Shoot, I'm going to miss the next Medicare for All meeting because I'm going to a play that day. I mean, but at least show up to something. Come on, you can show up to one meeting. Make sure you have that date. You pay those permits. Figure out if you're going to have the police presence or not have it. But like I said, that's where I want to stop at because I'm rambling. I'm going to continue this discussion next week, but I wanted to spend the last 5, maybe 3 minutes. No, not even 3 minutes. I'll do 2. I'm talking about, because I think next week is going to be the last discussion on me talking about how to plan a protest rally or march. After that, I plan on looking at third parties. And I'm going to go party by party. I'll look at 5 of them. And I'm not going to tell you which ones. I'm trying to get a representative from that party, but I have not been successful. So it'll be me going over their platforms, saying what it is I like, what it is I think that they could be like, ooh, you might want to do this differently. Um, but like I said, I was going to try to stay under 8 o'clock. I did fairly well because it's 7:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I thank everyone that commented. Thank you for your comments. Please share this video. I promise to be more polished next week when I finish this up. Please like this video. Like it, please like it, please like it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Invite your friends to subscribe or share it to their Facebook page. You can also remember that our scavenger hunt is September the 3rd at 6 o'clock p.m. Cost is $15. You can always go to my website right there. It's been redesigned, so I'm really hoping that people like it because I worked really hard to get that site to look the way I wanted it to. So with that being said, I hope that your Monday and your week are fabulous. Continue to follow us at TracyMediaLLC.com. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.